Hello, I am Fumi Ling from Malacca, and I would like to present to you my video on the research ideas outlined on my research topic. Before proceeding any further, let me share something about myself. I am currently pursuing Master of Education, specializing in teaching English as a second language. I have worked as a teacher for young children for a few years, and currently I am employed as an English teacher in an international school which is located in Malacca for the past 7 years. Now let me share with you the title of my research. My research topic is Investigation of Malaysian Chinese Young Learners English Acquisition in an International School. Let me now share some of the issues that had sparked my interest in this research topic. Firstly, despite the many reforms that had been implemented by our Ministry of Education in trying to improve English among our Malaysian students, sad to say, the English proficiency and communication skills of our students are generally low, despite the fact that they had learned English for many years. It was interesting also for me to note that the Malaysian Chinese students who have learned English since grade 1 in the international school that I am attached to, they too have not progressed well in terms of vocabulary, grammar, or writing, despite the fact that they had learned English for many years. In addition to this, they also have a tendency not to speak English in school, but instead they only speak English during English class. The issue of the challenges faced by our students in their mastery of English is not something new and has been constantly highlighted in our media. In particular, the fear of speaking in English is common among our students, and this affects their writing skills. Other issues include Malaysia being a pluralistic society, whereby our learners are more competent in their own mother tongue. Also, our Malaysian students are not serious in their mastery of the English language. A recent research found in a Chinese school that the vocabulary and grammar are the biggest issues faced by Chinese students in their mastery of English as a second language. As such, this affects their speaking as well as their writing skills. The various research objectives in this research are, first, to investigate the problems in English acquisition among Malaysian Chinese students in an international school. Secondly, to investigate the motivational factors of Malaysian Chinese students in English acquisition in an international school. Thirdly, to investigate the strategies used in the learning and using of English language among Malaysian Chinese students in an international school. The research questions pertaining to this research are: number 1, what are the problems in English language acquisition among Malaysian Chinese students in an international school? Number 2, how is the motivation of Malaysian Chinese students in English acquisition in an international school? Number 3, what are the strategies used in the learning and using of English language by Malaysian Chinese learners in an international school? The research objectives and questions are related to, firstly, the problems in English acquisition among Malaysian Chinese students. Secondly, the motivational factors of Malaysian Chinese students in English acquisition. And thirdly, the strategies used in the learning of English language among our Malaysian Chinese students. The conceptual framework of my research is based on the independent variable, that is, the English language acquisition of Malaysian Chinese students in an international school, and also the dependent variable, which is made up of the motivation that affects English acquisition among learners, This would include the intrinsic motivation as well as the extrinsic motivation. The dependent variables will also constitute other factors that students use in the area of strategies used in learning English, as well as the strategies they use in using English. The research design will be mixed mode that will constitute both quantitative as well as qualitative research. For the quantitative research, survey forms on two categories of close-ended questionnaires will be extended to the students to measure their intrinsic as well as extrinsic motivation. For the qualitative research, a sequential interview of open-ended questions will be as a follow-up to the quantitative survey. This will constitute 1 or 2 research questions and 3 to 4 sub-questions. With regard to the population sampling, for the quantitative research, it will be 10% of the total population of Chinese students that are in grades 4 to 9 in this particular international school. For the qualitative research, it would include 6 students, that would be 1 that would be taken from each of grades 4 to 9. The research instruments used for the quantitative research will be based on Gardner's 1985 Attitude and Motivation Test Battery. In addition, there will also be a Likert scale of 5-point marking from strongly agree to strongly disagree. For the qualitative research, the research instrument will be sequential interview questions on strategies that students use in their learning as well as using of English. For example, after their English lesson, after school, or when they are at home. The data analysis for research objectives and questions will be done in several steps. The first would be the collection of the primary data that will be obtained from the school itself. This would include the total number of Chinese students in the international school, the number of Chinese students that are found in grades 4 to 9, the average English score of these Chinese students in comparison with the other students that are in grades 4 to 9. The quantitative data analysis will be done through questionnaires, which is the instrument that is being used, and it will analyze how are the intrinsic as well as extrinsic motivation of the learners. The analysis will be done through Likert scale as well as SSPS. For the qualitative data analysis, it will be done through interviews, and these interviews will analyze what are the strategies that learners actually use in their learning as well as using of the English language. The analysis will be done through data collection, and this data that is collected will then be reduced to focusing. And then after that, the results of this will be displayed on a chart, and the conclusions drawn by sequential from the quantitative survey will be done, identifying clusters of responses and also doing an in-depth study of these responses to see if they add or correspond to the findings that were done through the quantitative survey. In conclusion, the expected findings for my research title, Investigation of Malaysian Chinese Young Learners' English Acquisition in an International School, would indicate, firstly, what are the intrinsic as well as extrinsic motivation of our Malaysian Chinese students when learning English? Secondly, it would also indicate what are the other factors that could contribute towards the poor English acquisition among our Malaysian Chinese students. The outcome and importance of this research would facilitate further in the study of language acquisition, specifically among our Chinese students, and also provide some assistance to further understand what are the underlying issues that are faced by our students in their language acquisition. I wish to thank you for your time in watching this video presentation.